As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden glow over the garden, I stood nervously, my heart pounding in my chest. It was the day I would meet Alex's parents for the first time. The wedding had been perfect, a whirlwind of joy and laughter. But now, with the marriage certificate in hand, the reality of becoming a part of his family was sinking in. Alex took my hand and squeezed it reassuringly. "You're gonna do great, April. They'll love you as much as I do," he said with a tender smile. I mustered a smile in return, trying to silence the butterflies fluttering in my stomach. We approached his parents, who stood with stern expressions, their arms crossed. His mother, Mrs. Bennet, had an air of superiority about her, and his father, Mr. Bennet, wore a disapproving scowl. "Mom, Dad, this is April," Alex said, introducing me. Mrs. Bennet glanced me up and down, her gaze cold and assessing. April, is it? Well, we'll see if you're good enough for our Alex." Mr. Bennet grunted in agreement, saying nothing as he continued to eye me critically. Despite the uncomfortable encounter, I tried my best to engage them in conversation, hoping to make a good impression. But the more I tried, the more they seemed to find fault with me. At one point, Mrs. Bennet remarked, "I hope you understand the responsibilities that come with marrying into this family. We have certain expectations. I assure you, I love Alex deeply, and I will do everything in my power to make him happy," I replied, trying to remain composed. Mr. Bennet scoffed. "Love isn't enough. You'll need to prove yourself worthy." Throughout the evening, their dismissive and condescending behavior left me feeling hurt and inadequate, but I held my head high, determined not to let their disapproval dampen the happiness of our wedding day. After the reception, as Alex and I settled into our new home, I couldn't shake off the unease I felt about his parents' treatment. "Do you think they'll ever accept me, Alex?" I asked, voicing my concerns. "I'm not sure, April," he sighed, wrapping his arms around me. "They can be difficult, but don't worry too much. With time, they'll come around." I nodded, hoping he was right. Little did I know that their animosity would become a recurring issue in our lives. As the days turned into weeks, Alex and I settled into our new home, eager to begin this exciting chapter of our lives together. We painted the walls, rearranged furniture, and filled our home with love and laughter. Despite the initial unpleasant encounter with my in-laws, we were determined to build a strong foundation for our marriage. During the day, I'd head to my job at Silverstone Technologies, a renowned company where I had a fulfilling role in marketing. I loved my work, and the paycheck it provided allowed us to cover our expenses while Alex searched for a job after being downsized from his previous position. As much as I tried to remain optimistic, the burden of being the sole breadwinner started to weigh heavily on me. I knew Alex was trying his best, submitting countless job applications and attending interviews, but job opportunities were scarce. We were both under tremendous pressure. One evening, as we sat in the cozy living room, the topic of our finances came up once again. "April, I really appreciate everything you're doing for us." Alex began, looking both grateful and troubled. "But it's starting to get to me, not being able to contribute financially." "I understand, Alex. It's not easy, but we're a team and we'll get through this together." I reassured him, trying to be supportive. He sighed, running his fingers through his hair. "I just feel like I should be doing more. It's frustrating. I know it's tough, but remember, we vowed to stand by each other, no matter what. We'll find a way to overcome this hurdle," I said with determination, placing my hand on his. Our love and commitment to each other were unwavering, but the stress and financial strain were taking a toll on our relationship. We started having more frequent arguments, and at times, we found ourselves caught in a cycle of frustration and blame. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, Alex's job search continued without success. The pressure was becoming unbearable, and he began seeking refuge in alcohol. I noticed the change in him, the way he'd reach for a drink after every rejection email or unfruitful interview. One evening, after a particularly heated argument, he stormed out of the house, leaving me feeling hurt and abandoned. He returned later, stumbling and reeking of alcohol. "Why can't I find a job, April? Am I just worthless?" He slurred, his eyes glassy with tears and despair. Tears welled up in my own eyes as I embraced him, feeling his pain seeping into my heart. "You're not worthless, Alex. It's just a difficult time, but we'll get through it together." "I believe in you," I whispered, holding him close. Despite the challenges we faced, I clung to hope and faith in our love. But as the days wore on, my in-laws' visits became more frequent, and with them came more taunts and criticisms. I tried to stay strong, but their hurtful words cut deep, leaving scars that I couldn't ignore. As the pressure of unemployment persisted, Alex's reliance on alcohol grew stronger. He would often come home late, reeking of liquor, and our arguments escalated into full-blown shouting matches. The happy home we had dreamed of was slipping away, and I couldn't bear to see the man I loved spiraling into despair. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a somber hue over our living room, I confronted Alex about his drinking. "We need to talk about this, Alex. The alcohol won't solve our problems. It's only making things worse," I pleaded, tears brimming in my eyes. He looked away, his face clouded with shame and frustration. "I know, April, but it's just so hard. I feel like a failure, and the alcohol numbs the pain, at least for a little while," he admitted, his voice heavy with emotion. "We're in this together, remember. You don't have to face this alone," I said softly, moving closer to him and taking his hand. "Please, let's find a healthier way to cope with the stress. I'm here for you." For a moment, it seemed like he was going to open up, but his parents' words echoed in his mind, fueling his self-doubt. "My parents keep saying you're the one supporting us because I can't get a job." "Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm just a burden to you," he confessed, his vulnerability breaking my heart. "They're wrong, Alex. I married you because I love you, and that won't change no matter what challenges we face," I reassured him, wiping away a tear from his cheek. "We'll figure this out together, but you need to believe in yourself too." Despite my efforts to support him, the toxic influence of my in-laws continued to poison our lives. Every time they visited, their disapproval and disdain were palpable. They made no effort to hide their opinions, often mocking me and undermining my contributions to our family. During one such visit, Mrs. Bennett scoffed, "Still wasting your time at that job, April? You'd be better off focusing on finding a rich husband to support you." Alex hesitated for a moment before joining in. "Yeah, you're not exactly the successful career woman we had in mind." Their words stung like 1,000 needles, and I felt the tears welling up, but I refused to let them see me break. "My job is important to me, and I'm proud of what I do. I won't let your narrow-minded views define me," I retorted, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. Their words fueled my determination to prove them wrong, but the strain on our marriage was becoming unbearable. The emotional toll of being belittled by my in-laws and witnessing Alex's struggle with unemployment and alcoholism weighed heavily on me. The tension in our home reached a boiling point, and it seemed like we were walking on a tightrope, one misstep away from falling into the abyss. Alex's struggle with unemployment and alcoholism was pushing us to the brink, and my in-laws' constant disdain only added fuel to the fire. One evening, after yet another argument with Alex, I retreated to our bedroom, feeling emotionally exhausted. I couldn't shake off the hurtful words that had been exchanged. As tears streamed down my cheeks, I questioned whether we could ever find our way back to the happiness we once had. Feeling defeated and alone, I reached out to my best friend, Lily. She had been a steadfast support throughout our journey, and I knew I could confide in her. "Lily, I don't know what to do anymore. The constant fighting, the pressure from his parents. It's tearing us apart." I poured my heart out over the phone. Lily's comforting voice responded, "I can't imagine how hard it must be, April, but remember that you're not alone in this. Lean on your friends and don't forget your own strength." With Lily's words echoing in my mind, I decided to confront the issues head-on. The next morning, I approached Alex, determined to have an honest conversation. "We can't keep going on like this, Alex. Our love is slipping away, and I refuse to let it happen," I said, my voice firm yet tinged with sadness. He sighed, his eyes weary. "I don't know what to do, April. It feels like I'm drowning, and I'm taking you down with me." "No, Alex, we're a team, remember? We'll find a way to get through this together, but you need to face your demons. I can't do it for you," I implored, my heart breaking as I saw his pain mirrored in his eyes. His gaze softened, and he pulled me into a tight embrace. "I'm so sorry, April. I never wanted things to turn out this way. I'll try harder for us," he promised. With renewed hope, we sought professional help, attending counseling sessions to navigate the challenges we faced. Slowly, Alex began to address his alcohol dependence, and together, we confronted the toxic influence of my in-laws on our marriage. However, as we made progress, my in-laws decided to visit again, and I dreaded their arrival. During dinner, the atmosphere was tense, and they wasted no time in resuming their hurtful comments. Mrs. Bennet sneered. "I see you're still struggling to keep this household running, April. When will you finally admit you're not cut out for this?" Alex began to rise to their defense, but this time I couldn't bear to let them demean me anymore. "Enough!" I exclaimed, surprising even myself with the strength in my voice. "I won't tolerate your insults any longer. Your words say more about you than they do about me." Mr. Bennet looked taken aback by my outburst, but I didn't back down. "You raised your son to believe that success is only measured by money, but true wealth lies in love, compassion, and resilience. We may be struggling, but we'll overcome this, and our love will triumph," I declared, my heart pounding with determination. As the words hung in the air, I saw a glimmer of realization in their eyes. Perhaps for the first time, they saw the strength and conviction within me, and it left them speechless. As we navigated the turbulent waters of our marriage, I found solace in the unwavering support of my best friend, Lily. She had always been my pillar of strength, and during these trying times, her friendship became my lifeline. Over a cup of coffee at our favorite cafe, I poured my heart out to Lily about the challenges we were facing. "Lily, I don't know how much more I can take. The constant fighting. The pressure from my in-laws. It's overwhelming," I confided, my voice tinged with exhaustion. Lily reached out, grasping my hand gently. "April, you're stronger than you realize. Remember that I'm here for you, and we'll get through this together," she reassured me, her eyes filled with empathy. Her words brought comfort to my troubled soul, and I felt a renewed sense of hope. With Lily by my side, I felt less alone in this battle, and her unwavering belief in me gave me the strength to carry on. As our friendship grew stronger, Lily became a regular presence in our lives. She was there for both the good and the bad times, offering a listening ear and a shoulder to cry on. Whenever my in-laws' visits loomed on the horizon, she'd be there, helping me brace myself for their hurtful comments. One evening, just before my in-laws' next visit, Lily and I were preparing dinner together. "Are you sure you want to go through this again, April? Maybe it's time to set some boundaries with them." Lily suggested, chopping vegetables with determination. "I wish it were that easy, Lily. They're Alex's parents, and I don't want to create more conflict between them and him," I replied, feeling torn between my love for Alex and the desire to protect myself. Lily paused, looking me in the eyes. "I understand, but your well-being is just as important. You can love someone and still set boundaries with toxic people," she said firmly, placing a hand on my shoulder. Her words struck a chord within me, and I realized that I needed to prioritize my own happiness and mental health. The next day, as my in-laws arrived, I decided to take a stand. When Mrs. Bennet started with her usual insults, I interrupted her. "Mrs. Bennet, I understand that you have your opinions, but I won't allow you to disrespect me in my own home. If you can't treat me with kindness and respect, I'd appreciate it if you didn't visit," I said firmly, surprising even myself with the assertiveness in my tone. Mr. Bennet looked taken aback, and Alex seemed torn between defending his parents and supporting me. But this time, I didn't back down. I had found my voice, and I was determined to make it heard. As the silence lingered, Mrs. Bennet looked at me, perhaps for the first time truly seeing the strength within me. "Well, I never," she sputtered, but I cut her off. "I won't stand for this any longer. I love your son, and I want us to build a life together, but I won't tolerate constant disrespect. If you can't accept me and support our marriage, then perhaps it's best if you stay away," I declared, my heart pounding with a mix of fear and empowerment. With the newfound strength I had discovered through Lily's support, I couldn't shake off the resentment I felt towards my in-laws. Their constant belittlement and toxic behavior had taken a toll on our marriage, and I knew it was time to take a stand. Lily and I decided it was time to put an end to their hurtful antics once and for all. As we sipped coffee at our favorite cafe, Lily proposed an audacious plan. "April, it's time to show them that you won't be pushed around anymore. Let's teach them a lesson they'll never forget," she said, her eyes gleaming mischievously. I raised an eyebrow, intrigued by her suggestion. "What do you have in mind, Lily?" She leaned in, her voice low and conspiratorial. "They're planning a vacation, right? What if they left thinking they could use your money? Only to find that they can't." A smirk spread across my face as I understood what she was implying. "You mean we block Alex from accessing my money while they're away? That would leave them stranded without any funds." I said, my excitement growing. "Exactly," Lily replied, grinning. "It's time to show them that their words and actions have consequences." Over the next few days, we carefully plotted our revenge. We knew that Alex's parents were planning a trip abroad, intending to use the money they believed was at their disposal due to my financial contributions. We decided to wait until the day of their departure to execute our plan. The night before their trip, we made sure to hide any important documents and financial information, ensuring they wouldn't have access to any vital details. On the day of their departure, while they were still packing and finalizing their plans, I discreetly went to the bank and blocked Alex from accessing my account. As their departure time approached, I braced myself for the inevitable phone call. Sure enough, just as their plane was about to take off, my phone rang. It was Alex, sounding frantic and angry. "What have you done, April? We can't access any money. How dare you do this to us?" He yelled over the phone. I took a deep breath, determined to stand my ground. "Your parents have been treating me terribly for far too long, Alex. I won't let them take advantage of me or our finances anymore," I said firmly, my heart pounding with nervous anticipation. "You can't just do this to us. We're your family," he retorted, his voice filled with indignation. Tears welled up in my eyes as I replied, "Family should treat each other with love and respect, not belittle and demean one another. I'm done being their punching bag." As the days turned into weeks, we awaited their return, unsure of how they would react to the consequences of their actions. Lily and I knew we had taken a bold step, and there was no turning back now. As the days passed since we had blocked my in-laws from accessing my money, tension hung in the air like an impending storm. Alex's parents had no idea of the financial predicament they were in, and we anxiously awaited their return from their vacation abroad. One evening, as the sun set in hues of pink and orange, my phone rang. It was Mrs. Bennett, her voice filled with anger and frustration. "April, what have you done? We're stuck here with no money, thanks to you. You need to transfer the funds back immediately." I took a deep breath, steeling myself for this confrontation. "I did what I had to do, Mrs. Bennett. Your constant disrespect towards me and your treatment of Alex pushed me to my limit. I won't let you take advantage of us any longer," I said firmly, trying to keep my emotions in check. "You're a heartless woman. How could you do this to your husband and your family?" She spat back. "My husband should have stood up for me a long time ago, and you both should have treated me with respect. You reap what you sow, Mrs. Bennett," I retorted, my voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside me. Alex took the phone from his mother, his face a mix of anger and confusion. "April, this has gone too far. We need the money. You can't just leave us stranded like this," he pleaded. I felt my resolve waver, but I knew I had to stand my ground. "I understand that you're upset, Alex, but we need to address the underlying issues here. Your parents' treatment of me has been unacceptable, and I won't let them walk all over us anymore." Over the next few days, Alex and his parents tried to negotiate with me, but I stood firm in my decision. I wasn't willing to give in to their demands until they acknowledged their actions and treated me with respect. Finally, after much back and forth, Mr. and Mrs. Bennett agreed to sit down and talk things through. We arranged a meeting at our home, and as they walked through the door, I could feel the tension in the air. "We're sorry, April," Mrs. Bennett said with a hint of reluctance. "We didn't realize how much our words and actions were hurting you." Mr. Bennett nodded. "We were blinded by our own expectations and failed to see the wonderful person you are." I took a deep breath, acknowledging their words. "I appreciate your apology, but I need you to understand that respect is not just a word. It's how we treat each other. I won't tolerate any further disrespect, and I hope we can move forward with mutual understanding and support." As the days turned into weeks, a change seemed to take hold in my in-laws. They became more respectful and understanding, and slowly, the bitterness between us started to dissipate. It was a gradual process, but I could see that they were making an effort to repair the damage that had been done. Our marriage also began to heal as we addressed our issues together. Alex sought counseling to cope with his unemployment and to overcome his reliance on alcohol. With the support of professionals and the strength of our love, we found our way back to each other.